Hello, and welcome back to this edition of Daily Actives brought to you by Bootleg Macro. I'm Dustin. We are looking at Ford, which it is an unusual setup considering the fact that we see that the market has been collapsing since the Federal Reserve meeting this week. Ford looks like it's never seen better days. Well, that's not true. It's seeing better days than it saw in the end of July and all of August. We are above our 15-day moving average. That is the red line here, boys and girls. The blue line is the price. Looks like we were up 1.89% on Friday. We're still down on the week, but we are positive on the 15-day and the 1 month. Have a lot of work to do in the 3 month, the 6 month, and the 1 year. Not quite as much in the 1 year as I would have expected, but we do see that we are bullish on the weekly, bullish on the daily. The thing that I find to be the most interesting right now, and I'll call this out, is that Ford has a 65% rising correlation to the dollar. And the dollar has been killing it. And if we'll look at it just quickly, because the dollar, essentially, if you think about it, has been the real catalyst and driver of what we've seen in markets right now that has made people think, oh my God, this is terrifying. That's the dollar over the past, 3 months or so. The dollar is killing it. It's essentially broken above its 15-day moving average in the middle of July and it's never looked back. And that it seems like Ford is somehow either mimicking it or related to it. I'm not sure exactly what the components or the dynamics are for why the correlation exists. All I can say is that I see it. So when we look here at the overall price data, what I want to call out is that this thing has had a recent run of very bullish behavior. You can see here it has red lettering with the white background between the 12th and the 15th of September. That means it was 3 standard deviations above its mean. You can see with the red lettering on the volume here, these things are having incredible volume spikes, as I call them. They're showing over 50 million shares traded many of these days. It looks like we're having a kind of turnover in the market specifically for Ford, maybe the investor base, the trader base, whatever it is. We can see that now we have the volatility was low and falling. Volatility is starting to rise now. We are seeing some future price path that says price to rise. Again, we see we're positive on the 1 day, positive on the 15, and the 1 month. We're still negative on the 3 month. We'd like to see that change. Still negative on the 6 month. We'd like to see that change. It just flipped. But we look at the signals. We're long in where we got to go long in the short term, intermediate term, and longer term as our most recent signals. We looks at the trend. Yes, we have bearishness in the short term. We're bullish in the intermediate term and bullish in the longer term. We look here as well. One of the things that's really interesting to notice is obviously it got incredibly bearish and that price completely collapsed, right? And you had this whole run up, you had this run down. When we're looking at the sentiment is reflecting the bullishness and bearishness in the actual price. Obviously, we got very high. Obviously, we've gotten very low. And now even though it looks like we've come off a crazy move, the move is actually just really around 50%. We're at 55. It's just we came from the point where we had 28% bullishness. That is so ridiculous. I don't think I've ever seen that low. I mean, I do see that low, but it's usually like a penny stock. We want to be conscious, though. This has been on a rising bull for quite a while now. If we look at the trading signals, we can see that we got a rising value at the beginning of September. We had some coming rising bulls. We had big bulls. We had small bulls. We got swift bulls. We got all the bulls. What's really fascinating to me, again, is the fact that this is really highly correlated specifically to the dollar. But we look at the chart, things don't look like they're necessarily terrible. I can see why it being up nearly 200 basis points on Friday was something that people paying attention to. But when I really think about what Ford could be, it looks like something that could be defensive in what might be a little market route for a little while, because I can definitely tell you that the VIX is breaking out. The VIX is starting to show some go long signals. And Ford, for some reason, is looking incredibly bullish while the rest of the market is looking pretty bearish. We can see we're getting really high volume spikes here as the price is either flatlining. And when I don't mean flatlining like it's going dead, I mean in the sense that it's essentially going stable, right? Like it's essentially just one long line essentially of where you're getting what would probably end up being like support or what technicians would call like a base in terms of the price, the cost basis. Probably people look at it from the perspective of like a volume weighted average price. Very similar thing. You're getting your volume, you're getting whatever that is, you're getting the base of the price down here, and it's actually doing it on large volume, so you know that this is going to be a very strong level. It's interesting. If we look at the volatility as well, volatility, again, has been incredibly low because it's been falling for quite a while. Volatility here only gets to about 4. If you watch my video earlier today on Tesla's volatility gets up to, like 25, 30, a bunch more because the price is higher. And the moves are much larger. When we look here at Ford, we are having a little bit of struggle breaking out right now, but our correlation is staying incredibly negative. I'd actually like to see the volatility roll over like this while the correlation is negative. That'd be incredibly positive for us to be moving sideways to up. And we may get that wish because the correlation is not really that strong. It's not really pushing that much to get to zero. It looks like it could stay down negative for quite a while here. Look at the trade range. The trade range is very, very tight after we've had that move through August and July. You can see the range is tight. The top of the range is at 1286. The bottom of the range is at 1155. Those are prices and those are places that I'd be paying attention to Ford. We look here at the ultra fast sentiment. Again, these moves look exaggerated, but it's not really because the move right now is really strong. It's because the collapse was so bad. You really went from a really high high and a really quick run up to a really low low and a really quick drop. And now we've essentially trying to find our footing on, are we bullish or are we bearish? But tell me what you think in the comments below. Are you long? Are you short? Do you like it? Do you love it? Is this even a good review? And before you go, subscribe to the New High newsletter. We send you 25 stocks to your inbox every single Sunday. Stocks between $5 and $20, stocks breaking out to 1-year highs, stocks breaking out to all-time highs. It is a great list to get your trading week started on a very positive note. I'll talk to you soon.